Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bourbon Note. I'm Greg.
I'm Ben.
And today, we're drinking bourbon. All right, Ben. Can you believe it's been 100 episodes?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's going to be our 100th episode, which is crazy. It's been almost a year, too. So we're in a couple weeks away from the year. So the year and the 100 didn't quite line up, but,
I don't know if I've ever done 100 of anything in my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it is a lot. It's a lot of episodes and hopefully hundreds more.
Yeah, and we've done a couple of lists and a lot of flights and definitely a lot of reviews. But we thought, instead of like just an entry level, like how to get started with bourbon, how about how do you get started in collecting bourbon? And so maybe bourbons that are a step up.
Right.
You know, maybe a little harder to find, a little bit more expensive, not crazy, nothing allocated and super hard to find.
Sure.
But we put together a list of kind of a top 5 for each of us, so there'll be 10, plus a couple of honorable mentions.
Yeah.
Well, and I have to be honest, I'm going a little bit obscure. Not crazy obscure, but maybe some smaller distilleries. There's going to be a few.
So not hard to find, but maybe not,
probably in most liquor stores, but I'm not picking anything, from the real big distilleries. Just
okay. Well, so
for
here's
some reasons.
We kind of, this list that we're about to do kind of melded into something different than it would originally going to be.
Yep.
So our very first video, which is still our most watched video by thousands of views.
That's amazing.
Is we did a top 5 bourbons for beginners, tier 1.
Yeah.
Where we kept it under 100 proof and under $30 just for beginners to go out and explore some different flavor profiles. So then it's like, well,
you got to do
we got a ton of those. We mentioned in that video, hey, maybe we'll do tier 2 at some point.
Sure.
And now we waited 100 videos to do the second part of our most ever watched video. No one ever accused us of being professionals here. So,
well, 99 videos for practice.
Right. So this is kind of a tier 2 in the sense that we kind of started out like, okay, let's take the caveats off of it. We're going to keep a couple.
Reasonable.
Reasonable.
So maybe up to around 110 proof.
Yep.
Like I don't have anything super high proof. And maybe 50 to 60 buck kind of rate. Like we're not going crazy expensive.
Yeah, so when we originally were going to do tier 2, it was going to be under 110.
Okay.
And no price limit, but just common sense wise.
Sure.
And so, and then we kind of included the bourbons to maybe kind of get a collection started. So we didn't include a whole array of, north of 100 budget picks, because that could be a whole nother separate video that we may do.
Yeah.
And so we just tried to make it within those parameters, but still kind of like leaning into getting a collection going where there's some different flavor profiles and kind of like some different things to explore.
Sure.
So, and on the first one, we also didn't know each other's picks. We didn't do that for this one because it would have, there's so many, like we could have done 10 each and it wouldn't have been enough.
Yeah.
Like trying to pick 5 was terrible. And so we didn't want to double up on any of the exact same bottles. So we do know what each other picked. So, the other thing is, since our first list had has to be under 100 proof, there's one bourbon we didn't include on it.
That we got a lot of complaints about.
Yeah, because apparently people didn't watch the video to see what the caveats were. And so we are going to include it on this one, but it's not going to be part of either our lists. It's just going to be
default gimme.
Default, yeah, it's a gimme. This is...
Bring it on.
Yeah, this is just common sense. If you're a bourbon enthusiast and you're watching this video, I'll even give you a second to guess what the bottle is. Yep, absolutely right. It is, bam, Wild Turkey 101.
Because both of us would pick it if we had to pick it.
Absolutely, yeah. So this was just like too easy.
Yep.
This has to be on your list. This is budget friendly, incidentally.
Yep.
But this wasn't on our first list because it's north of 101 proof. But this is just an absolutely outstanding bourbon all around. When you consider availability, price, flavor, it's just, yeah. It was going to be on both of our lists, so we said let's just get it out of the way and just put this one right at the beginning. Doesn't look like this anymore. This is a
they changed
pre-2016 bottle I found in the Bahamas. So.
Yeah. So I think we should get started with the list.
Let's do it.
I think we should agree to maybe not talk a lot about each one, otherwise we're going to be here for an hour.
Yes, that's another thing that we've learned in our 100 videos. And now, whether or not we learned enough to apply it.
We're going to try to do one sentence each and then move on.
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Or, well, we'll try to be good. Why don't you go first? Because I went first last time.
Okay. I have, so for the
and
first
these
one.
really aren't in any particular order. We're just top
Yeah, it's
five.
not worst to first or anything like that.
No.
So I'm going to go with this one for right off the bat since we've got a Wild Turkey product out here.
Sure.
Bam. Russell's Reserve 10-year. This is a 90 proof 10-year bourbon from Wild Turkey. It's really good, readily available, runs around $35 to $38 around here.
Yeah.
Wanted to include this one because big fan of Wild Turkey.
Yeah.
And it's a good, easily accessible 10-year bourbon to get into your collection.
And we make reference to it being 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you get a young bourbon, it has a particular flavor, and you wonder, what would this taste like if it were older? Mm-hmm. And this is a really good example of, this is what 10 years of oak does to a bourbon.
Yeah.
So comparing this to almost anything, you know, will kind of help you out.
Yep. You don't have to have a 10-year age statement that high on everything for it to be a great bourbon, but it's nice to have one, and this is one of the better ones out there when you consider availability.
Yes.
You know, because there's some other great 10 years out there, but they're difficult to find.
All right. I'm gonna get started with,
Interesting one.
this is Rabbit Hole Distillery. This is their K-Fill. This is their original first batch. They make several now, but this is a 4-grain bourbon, and we absolutely love it. We did a review where if you want to know more about it,
Yeah.
check out the review.
4-grain. 4-grain. Was it
Malted wheat,
honey
and
wheat,
honey wheat, malted barley, and
corn.
malted rye.
No, I think it's just that.
No,
I think
oh,
it was
yeah,
the,
yeah, you're right, and then
So
corn.
the corn, but then it was the
Yeah.
the wheat, and then the malted honey wheat, and
Right.
then the malted barley. Yeah, really interesting one. I really enjoyed that.
Only a 3-year age statement, but boy, is it good. And that's
So,
actually what I'm drinking today.
Perfect example. That's a younger bourbon that actually really has a nice kind of
Yep.
punch of flavor to it.
And it's not, I mean, this is kind of like how to start a collection and some bourbons that are maybe not, you know, everyday drinkers for a lot of people.
Yeah, so
And this is a little bit obscure, not crazy obscure, in the $50 range.
but it's got definitely a different flavor profile.
$60 on this one.
So if you're trying to explore different things,
Definitely.
great option.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go a little different down the flavor profile
Okay.
from this with a high rye bourbon. So this is Four Roses single barrel. Four Roses is known for being high rye.
But we think it's more mid to high. It's not crazy high
I don't
compared to
know,
some.
I think it's pretty high.
30%?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's up there. Because some mid-range ones are down, like 18 to 25%.
13, some of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
But this is a high rye bourbon. This is their single barrel offering. It's 100 proof and runs around $44, readily available everywhere. The whole Four Roses line has a lot of, they've got 4 main ones that are kind of available.
Yes. Yeah.
But this is kind of the midpoint in that. The small batch select can be a little bit hard to find. It's a little more expensive. But if you want to go down like a spicier flavor profile,
Yeah.
this is a good one.
All right. So this next one actually has some controversy
Okay.
that is relevant for the day that we're recording. And I cheated. I did the small bottle only because I didn't want to carry a big bottle because I had a lot of bourbons to carry.
Okay.
This
What is
is
possibly controversial about a Maker's Mark product?
what is possibly, that is a great question.
Yeah.
So I received an email today
Okay.
from Maker's Mark. I'm part of the Maker's Mark Ambassador Program, and I'm guessing it went to all of them. And so if you check,
I'll have to check my email.
yeah, they are changing bottles.
Didn't I send you a picture of that like a week ago?
But it's different than the picture you sent me.
Oh, interesting.
So
I've got a Maker's 46 cast strength.
no, they're, if you grab the
cask?
that one. So
Maybe that shape?
I believe it's gonna go to this shape bottle with a paper label.
Yeah, that's okay. I think that is the one I sent you.
So,
Get that out of here.
but in the email it said, and someone made reference to the fact that someone thought it was 46 years old.
That'd be a lot for a bourbon.
And
I mean, that's a lot for anything.
it would be a lot for a bourbon, and I actually don't believe that. I think they have a reason for changing bottles, and it's either they can't get enough of the bottles, it's either cheaper for the other
Oh,
bottle.
I thought you meant
or,
somebody thought it was a 46-year age.
They did, and so that's
Okay.
why they're changing it.
Oh, no,
And so
yeah.
it's much more clearly marked on the new paper label that it's, this stave profile and so on.
So Maker's 46, let's tell them what it is.
Okay.
It's the stave profile number 46,
Correct.
where Maker's Mark does a wood finishing series where they'll take their already aged bourbon,
Yes.
and then they'll add 10 staves to it and age it for a few extra months.
Yes.
And so this happens to be
The 10 French oak
Yep.
staves go into the 46.
And those give it some extra flavor.
They do. It's great. I don't think that someone confusing it for 46 years is the reason why they're changing bottles. And it's a different label. I think they're doing it either for cost or they want to reserve this shape bottle in the full-size bottle for their more special ones. And
Private selects and limited
the private
releases.
selects and the limited releases.
Funny you should mention.
And 46 is going to go to the other bottle. Anyway, it's still going to be the same juice. It's great, but I think there's a controversy there. But anyway.
So they want to save their other shape bottle
Yes.
for Maker's Mark product that I have on my list.
Then let's see it.
And this isn't really a double up because these are different. So I'm recommending any of the Maker's Mark, either the limited releases or the store picks.
Because they're all different.
They're all different. So these work the same as the Maker's 46, where they take 10 extra wood staves and place them in the barrel. But for the store picks and for the limited releases, you can choose from 5 different kinds of wood that have different char levels or toast levels and make any combination of those to create your own unique profile. And then they bottle these at cask strength. So this is gonna flirt with that 110 proof.
Yes.
A lot of them are 110 and some change, but a lot of them are below that. This is 108.4. Maker's Mark has a lower barrel entry proof.
True. And they all have the recipe on the front.
Yep.
Or sometimes on the back.
The older bottles on the back.
Yeah.
They have same bottle, different label.
Yeah.
But so this is different than the regular Maker's 46 in the sense that that's not cask strength, and that's one specific profile.
Correct.
These run around $70.
They
so they're
do.
getting a little more expensive. But when you see these, they're all unique. They're all really, really good.
Yeah.
And I would say at a cask strength that's at 108 or 110. I think they max out at like 116 is like the highest they've gone. Even at their highest cask strength, it still has a nice drinkability to it where if you're maybe not fully on ready for cask strength, this is a good intro to it. So yeah, check those out.
I am going to leave Kentucky, do a brief stop in Colorado.
All right,
So this is Old Elk Distillery.
just had this one.
We just did a review of it, so we'll make this short since we talked about it for probably way too long in that review.
Oh, we certainly did. It was not our first review that day.
But just the high points. This is a distillery in Fort Collins, Colorado. They are sourcing their bourbon currently from MGP, where not only did they source their bourbon, but they also stole the master distiller from MGP.
No.
And so, great stuff. We think they're doing their own distillate in Colorado, but it's not ready to be released
Was the
yet.
wheat whiskey that we had from them, that was their own distillate, if I remember?
Not yet.
It's
I think that
not?
was not yet. I think that was also
Okay.
sourced.
I thought we had one recently where they were doing their own distillate and we were kind of surprised by it. But anyway, yeah, we just did a review of this. That one will actually come out just before this one.
Oh, okay. That's
So
why. Yeah.
That one's all ready for Thursday. I think this one's coming out Monday. So
Nice.
little inside baseball.
Yep. But this is a great bourbon. We absolutely loved it. It's common enough, and it's gonna be in a lot of liquor stores, but not everywhere. And it's not from one of the big dogs.
Yeah.
So
It's definitely a good one for like the collection to try a new distillery.
Yeah.
That is, I mean, like you said, they're sourcing right now, but it's really good. It's got kind of a unique flavor profile.
so.
It's a blend of straight bourbons, if I remember correctly.
right.
And yeah, it's a good blend.
Yeah.
So that kind of gives it a unique flavor profile. All right. So
All right.
for this one, I'm going a little bit hard to find sometimes, but bam, not fully allocated. This is Henry McKenna 10-year single barrel bottled in bond from Heaven Hill. That's an awful lot of like check marks to let you know that this is going to be a pretty good bourbon.
It's hard to mess it up when you have that lineage.
Yeah. So single barrel, like I said, bottled in bond, so it's at 100 proof. And this is a 10-year, another 10-year. The problem with this one is that it's a little bit harder to find, but it's not impossible. It shows up in waves, it kind of seems.
I think so.
At least where we are.
That's where I feel, because I've seen it and then it disappears.
Disappears for a few months and then it'll show up again. Price point on this is between $40 and $50 around here.
Okay.
It used to be a lot cheaper than that, and then it won.
It won the overall top whiskey a few years ago.
Best whiskey in the world.
Yeah.
It won at the San Francisco World Spirits Awards, and ever since then it's been harder to find and a little more expensive. Now, at the current price point, I'm not mad at it. I think if it was being sold for $25, $30 before, it was well underpriced.
It's 10 years. Heaven Hill
it's
product.
a 10-year single barrel,
Bottled and
100
bond.
proof. Yeah, bottled and bond. It's just.
It was guarded by the government.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know it's going to be good, right?
Yeah.
This was barreled in 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
And still less than $50.
Yeah.
And some people complain it's overpriced.
Yeah, you got to command a price point when you're
Exactly.
even just a 10-year bourbon on its own. Like this one at 35 to 38 is great that they can do that.
Right.
But to also have the single barrel at the 100 proof bottled and bond.
Yep, I agree.
Pretty tough to beat.
All right, what's next on my list?
Do you have these in a particular order?
Really no particular order.
I was going to say they're right over there. You have to check. This is the one I thought you were going to say is going to be controversial.
I do feel it is a tad controversial because I've seen some people on the internet be less than friendly to this particular bottle.
That is what I currently have in my glass right now.
Yeah, I don't. I just poured Old Oak. Toasted. So our theory is
Basil Hayden toast.
Oh, Basil Hayden toast. And this is a 4-grain, right? Because they use brown rice in this one.
They used brown rice, yeah. And I don't know if that replaced something or
Right.
if it was added. I think they added it to the...
Yeah, I think so. It just has it's still bourbon. It's still very Basil Hayden-y. And it is only 80 proof. And they don't have an age statement, but it's some age. I'm guessing
I think regular
the 5
Basil
year.
Hayden used to be 8 years. I think they went down to 6 or something like that. I think we mentioned that in our actual Basil Hayden review.
But there's something about the flavor profile I really like. It looks good on the shelf. Basil Hayden actually has gone through a rebranding. It used to be Basil Hayden's with apostrophe S and a different kind of paper wrapper on their bottles.
I think, yeah, most people would recognize that if they saw it.
Yep.
You know, I think what might be a little controversial about this, because like you said, there have been some less than favorable things about this one. And I think a lot of it isn't necessarily to do with the flavor, it's just that it's 80 proof.
It's 80 proof, $50.
It's expensive for the proof point, but what I would say is this is very, very much on the beginner's side of this list. You know, since we're kind of doing tier 2 and we're up in the proof point or the price point, this is one that definitely fell in our last list proof point, but not the price point.
Yes.
And sometimes that's hard to balance, like when you're paying that much for that low of a proof. But there are plenty of people who are at that point in their bourbon drinking career that want something that, because this does have a quality to it.
Yeah.
But they're not looking for that punch in the face. Some people just don't like that, but they want, you know, some good flavor. And the whole toasted aspect of it, it does actually add a nice kind of something extra to it. I'm having a pour of it now because I haven't had it since we did our review, and I just wanted to kind of a refresher. And it's not bad. It's weak because it's 80 proof, but it's weak to us. You know?
Yes.
We tend to like things a little bit higher proof, but yeah, like I said, this is on the beginner side of this list, and I think it's a good option. I mean, it's something. For example, my father-in-law, he likes something a little lower proof, but he really likes bourbon, and he saw this on the shelf, and I actually recommended he tried it, and he really liked it. You know, but he's not looking for the harsh proof point.
Right.
You know, so this definitely has its place for sure.
I agree.
And it's almost the same price as regular Basil Hayden.
Yes.
So,
Yep.
you know, not bad. All right, so for this last one, I have got one of my favorite brands, bam, Old Forester. This is the 1910 Old Fine Whiskey. So what makes this one a little different is that this is a double oak. So take the normal Old Forester, age it,
Yes.
and then transfer it to a secondary brand new charred oak barrel.
Okay.
Age it a little bit longer. Really imparts a unique flavor on it. I already like Old Forester the way it is, but this one adds just kind of a different. Yeah, I could have put any of the Old Forester products on this list and been happy with it. This one I chose just because of that double oak. It adds something completely different to it. And it's a new flavor profile for you to explore if you haven't.
Sure.
Another good alternative to this would be Woodford Reserve Double Oak. Same, still Brown Foreman.
This is the 93 proof?
93 proof, yep.
Yeah.
Runs about $50. Neither one of us had a Woodford Double Oak on hand.
Right.
As we could have shown you the bottle here, but
Yep.
similar flavor profile in the sense that it's still Brown Foreman and it's got some of those telltale Brown Foreman notes to it. And it also has that double oak. So that's another option. So yeah, this is just a great, just really super bold and rich and, you know, kind of deep.
Yeah, I feel it's one of the stronger Old Forester in that line, but I've actually grabbed another one in that line. I couldn't do a list like this without at least doing bottled and bond once.
Oh yeah, you got to.
And Old Forester has a very unique flavor that is grown on me over the last year. I was reluctant, you know.
Yeah, you weren't the biggest Old
bourbon-wise.
Forester
Yep.
fan.
But so I picked this one because I tend to really like the 100 proof point. And this is a really, really nice bourbon. There is, and did we actually do a review of this versus the 100? They make a...
No, but that's one that I really want to do.
Yeah, so we want to do actually a comparison between the Old Forester 100 proof, which is really easy to find, and like half the price.
Half the price, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's how much you're paying for the government right there.
Yeah, exactly. And these are both Old Forester, but very different because of the double oak thing.
Yes.
So
that one's quite a bit different.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So that's why we included both of these, because we're really not doubling up on the same kind of,
Yeah.
same with the Maker's Mark, the 46 versus the cast strength
Right.
store picks.
Yep.
So getting a different flavor profile, but yeah, Old Forester, I'm just a huge fan of them. And at 100 proof, can't go wrong,
Right.
you know? Yeah, I would definitely like to do the I think it would be great to do an Early Times Bottled and Bond, the
'cause
Brown
that's
Foreman
very
version,
similar.
versus this versus Old Forester 100.
Yeah.
So this list, this could have been, like I said at the beginning, this could have been 10. I could grab 5 more off of here.
Yeah, totally.
Right now that I wanted on the list just as bad as any of these. So let us know in the comments if, you know, what you would have put on this list. Send us hate mail if you don't like these. But again, yeah,
I feel like this one's gonna take the
the
brunt
Basil
of the-
Hayden might get some hate mail. But yeah, I just, you know, it was hard to dwindle them down to 5, but trying to pick unique flavor profiles that kind of go in different directions and explore some different distilleries kind of became the goal of this tier 2,
Yeah.
you know? So I don't know what we'll call this. Do we still call it tier 2 for
Well, I would
beginners?
say tier 2 or
in parentheses, starting a collection.
starting the collection.
Yeah. Exploring bourbon
Yeah.
with Ben and Greg. That could have been the name of our channel.
That is.
I don't know, I like the bourbon note.
Yeah, the bourbon note works. We use that often enough.
Yeah, yeah. All right, well, do you have anything else to say about any of these, or?
I don't think so.
Maybe we'll do a tier 3, because there were actually a lot we wanted to include that were above 110 proof.
Well, yeah. I
So,
think we could totally do a tier 3.
yeah, for sure. So 100 episodes from now, look out for that video. You know, we'll get around to it at some point. So, all right, well, here is tier 2 bourbons for beginners / starting your collection
How to
out.
start a collection.
Yeah, on the bourbon note, I'm Ben.
I'm Greg. Cheers.